Hello, everyone. A very good evening to you all. I am Harleen, your host for today's session. I'm happy to welcome you all to a brand new session of the How We Did It series organized by the Institute of Product Leadership. We have been successfully hosting the How We Did It series, where we invite the Institute of Product Leadership's alumni to share their career transition journey into product roles and inspire the aspiring product managers and product leaders. Before we start today's insightful session, let me give you a quick introduction to the Institute. The Institute of Product Leadership is Asia's first business school providing accredited degree programs and certification courses in product management, product leadership, data science, design, and strategy. The Institute has partnered with three universities in India and the University of Houston in the United States. The Institute was founded in 2012 with the singular mission of creating 10,000 product leaders in the country. Ever since, the organization has designed and delivered programs in collaboration with various institutes, universities, and corporates to the senior working professionals to help them make career transitions into product leadership. The Institute has built and developed a community of over 3,700 plus successful alumni leading the product, data, and design teams across the world. We're also knowledge partners for 250 plus organizations worldwide. You can find out more about the institutes and the programs offered on our website. You can find the link to the website in the chat window. And for those of you who've joined us via LinkedIn, you can check the comment section for the link. I'd like to take a moment to shed light on the International Certification in Product Management program at the Institute. The ICPM program is created and curated by industry CXOs focused on learning and career outcomes for aspiring and current product managers, with many case studies, simulations, real life projects, and personalized coaching. You can scan the QR code on the screen to know more about the program. I'll wait here for a few seconds so that you guys can have some time to scan the QR code. Okay, great. Once our speakers for today present their insights, we'll open up for questions. So you can keep your questions ready and can post them in the Q&A section on Zoom. This session is being streamed live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So viewers on any of these channels, please feel free to post your questions in the comments section and we will share them with the speakers. Without further delay, please allow me to start today's session. For the panel, I am pleased to invite Ms. Chaitali Pathak and Ms. Niyati Bhatt. Chaitali comes with a strong background in technology and has over 6 years of experience in product management, design, and development. She is a certified professional Scrum product owner and a Scrum master. She currently works as the product management manager at Persistent Systems. Pleased to welcome you today, Chaitali. A second panelist is Ms. Niyati. Niyati has over 13 years of professional experience managing products on both the web and mobile. She's currently the senior product manager at Blenheim Chalkut, India. Glad to welcome you today as well, Niyati. And finally, I welcome the very eminent speaker and host of today's panel discussion, Mr. Vishal Sharma. Vishal is the Senior Product Manager at Informatica with around 15 years of industry experience, especially in AI and cloud data management, with prior experiences in product organizations like Oracle, Cisco, and HCL. Happy to welcome you all here this evening. Before I hand over the session to Mr. Vishal, just to get a better idea of the audience so that our speakers can understand the audience, I'm going to run a quick poll. So I would request, one second, I'm going to run the poll now. So I would request all participants to just take the poll so that our Okay. Okay. The poll has been launched, so we can give a few minutes to our participants to take the poll. Vishal, the session is now yours.
Thank you, Harleen, and hello, everyone. I presume all of you are joining in the IST time zone, so I would say good evening. And for the folks who are joining in different time zones, good morning, good afternoon. And I know this has been a hectic day for you, start of the week. But yeah, Harleen introduced me and everyone here, the panelists, Chaitali and Niyati. And with that, let me start and say hi to the panelists here. Hello, Chaitali. Hey, Niyati. So,
Hi,
right, as
Vishal.
you can, hello,
Hi.
hello. So, as you see, the agenda for today's discussion is our career transition journey into the product roles. And we have Chaitali and Niyati, as you see here, who would be sharing their insights and their journey on how they transitioned into the product roles, what made them basically, what acted as a catalyst here to basically transition into these roles, and how effectively they used and leveraged their existing skills. So I'm trying to make this, I'll basically, as a facilitator, will try to make this as productive. And also at the same time, let us, please feel free to put your questions on the poll. Harleen and Ankit would be there to help you with that. And I'll try to answer most of your questions while I'm discussing I'm having the discussions with Chaitali and Yati. Okay. So with that, let me start the discussion. Okay. So Chaitali and Niyati, I'll be asking you about your insights, as I told you, your details about how did you step into the product role. And I'll be going one by one. Niyati, my first question would be to you, and the same question would be to Chaitali hereafter. Okay. So could you guys help me, like, to start with, what were the driving factors or what got you interested in the product management role, right? So if you can shed some light and share with us the role that you were in before the transition, and what basically intrigued you into the product management role. Niyati, I'll start with you.
Okay. Thanks, Vishal. So, my calling has been problem solving, and that is the aspect of product management that I enjoy the most. I realized that as an engineer, there are certain restrictions, the context, the larger understanding of the uh, product or the business or the market is not always made visible. But uh, uh, when you get into product, you basically, sorry, there is a lot of background noise. If someone can mute themselves. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I was saying that problem solving is the main core aspect of product management that uh, got me interested into it. On top of it, it's understanding your users, interacting with your users on a day-to-day basis, on a very regular basis. When you start practicing user empathy and get into that mode of understanding where the exact problem lies, you realize how to build product that will actually solve a problem and bring business out of it, and not just be a part of a product that makes you feel good, but it's actually being used and valued in the market. So I think these are the two most important aspects that kind of got me interested in product management, and that's how I started my journey. And that's basically what I do in my current role: solve problems day in, day out.
That's great, Nayati. That's great. I totally second on the user empathy, and that is one definitely. I would not say just the driving factors, but one of the skill set that we required in our day-to-day function as well as a product manager, right? So just sharing my 2 cents on that. Even I come from an engineering background, as Harleen was mentioning, and with almost a decade of experience there, basically, what intrigued me into the product role was the first of all the user empathy along with an overall flavor of how the product looks in the market, right? Not just how we build it, discussing with our internal stakeholders, but how is it gonna impact? How is it, first of all, impacting the market that it is being catered to today? And at the same time, how a similar product or a product which is already there in the market is affecting the users. So those are the sort of studies that I used to do while I was in my engineering role, and those are some of the questions that were always dwelling in my mind while I was being very active in my engineering role. So these were my driving factors, and along with that also, when you are in a decision making role, I mean, as an engineer, definitely it is something that keeps you on your toes, but at the same time, your role restricts you to something very technically equipped, right? You have to basically, I'm precisely talking about the a developer role, or or even a support, or a support contractor, or at the quality assurance engineer. Your work is very technical there. All you have to do there is you have to basically code there, build the product, and you come with a predefined set of requirements that you have to work on, right? So while definitely you will be involved in with the shaping of the product, you are not critically involved in basically sharing your insights or making decisions on how the product should be and how should it go to the market, right? So those were some of the key elements that basically I was very interested and very much engaged when I actually started my career right from the start. And though it took me some time, but definitely these were the driving factors for me. And while we have those factors that I'm talking about, there are few things basically that also helps us, or basically also motivates us, I would say rather, when we are switching to any role. And one thing there would be that when you are communicating with your stakeholders, be it your internal stakeholders or at times your external stakeholders, right? You also try to develop a sort of understanding on how the things are moving ahead the zone, how the things are progressing, how your product is basically progressing, and as I said, how is it going to change the user's life in a day-to-day fashion. So when you start understanding and empathizing with these things, that is when basically you start inclining yourself more towards a product journey, right? So with that, let me ask the same question to you, Chaitali. Would you share the details with us? Thank you.
Yes, just was busy in typing some Q&As, replying to them.
Sure.
So my story is little bit easier, I would say, because when I was in engineering, I think I used to read quite a lot about different product leaders, and that was a trigger that they are doing something great, right? And it was I think back 10 years back, I would say. So somehow I started my first role was into product. They gave me some title like assistant product manager, product development manager. That was the first role, but I was not convinced that as an engineer, how can I start without coding anything, right? So that's the inclination we engineers have, that you are a great engineer if you will code, right? And I think that was there's the journey started. And then I did my project work in engineering, and even in I joined my start was I think my starting point was all the startups. I preferably chose them because I feel in startup you will get great experience, and I think that's why I got good product experience. But over the period, I realized that I am not getting that title which I am looking at. And in between, I used to get feedback from my mentors that you are handling customer communications well, you can understand code, you can manage your technical discussions, you are putting it down on paper rightly. uh, can you try for this particular role? And then I was like, okay, I am already doing that work. Now I just need to get the right title. Maybe I was near to that, but getting that title is little bit difficult sometimes in the market. So then I started looking out for different courses, and I think that was the journey. And once I came across this, I was like, okay, this is it. And that helped me so well. So it's not about are you working or doing similar things what a product role expect. It's also about you should understand what is the market looking at, how, what are your plus, what are your scope of improvements, how can you put yourself as a good product person in front of the hiring panel if you do not hold any experience in that domain. And I think that's how my journey started, and it was more of a smooth transition because I was already writing requirements from customer side and mapping it with some technical solutions within. So that's how I started.
Great, great. Thank you for sharing that, Chaitali. And as you rightly mentioned, right, communication, right? I did mention that. So communication plays a vital role in day-to-day life of a product manager. And even when you are expecting to transition into a product role, communication definitely plays a vital role there. Because as a product manager, you need to basically put a very strong foot in front and also make everyone understand what exactly would be the market for this product, and this is the roadmap that I build to shape this product going forward, right? And for that, you are bound to interact as much as possible, be it your development team, be it your sales team, be it your marketing team, and at the same time, as much as possible with the external stakeholders, your customers, everyone. And you need to be very precise, and at the same time, you have to be very assertive when you basically make this communication. So, rightly told, right? So, communication does play a vital role there. And your interest, as you said, while you were defining the requirements, and I'm sure that most of the people who are there on the call would also have similar thoughts here. We all deal with requirements on daily day-to-day basis, right? Be it any role you are in the IT or anywhere else, right? We deal on requirements. What are requirements? Basically the way you have to sort of address to something, you have those things in the form of requirements, right? You have to work on those requirements. So now if you are basically keen on those requirements, basically requirements are put up because there is some problem there at the background. You have a problem, now you want to find a solution for that. Before that, as a product manager, you have to, and the most important part of being a product manager is to understand what that problem is. First of all, that problem is a problem or not. On top of that, what exactly is the problem statement, right? And then analyzing it, reviewing it, and most important part, not to immediately jump on the solution, right? So just for the people who are there, and most of you already would be aware, product managers role is not involved in providing an immediate solution to the problem, rather trying to understand what that problem is, and in the couple, in the overall roadmap that he has created for a particular product, how does this particular problem fit in that roadmap, and how can I prioritize it on other problems? So that is one of the prominent roles that a product manager has. With that, let me also quickly switch the gears and move on. I mean, go to the Q&A section. I have a couple of questions there. Okay, let me. How can someone from sales can transition to a PM role? Vicky saying, okay, so right, that's an important question and a very common question that even I used to hear when I was on the verge of breaking into the product management role, right? So let me tell you, and probably Chaitali, Niyati, you guys can also tune in here. So product manager as a role is agnostic of the background you come from, right? Because wherever there is a product, there has to be someone who manages that product, right? There has to be a product manager there. So, and it is not necessary, right? It depends on the type of domain you are in. For example, I work in a very hardcore technical domain, and I work in a sort of suit where I'm required to basically have some sort of technical skills, but that is not necessary everywhere. That is not necessary from in a product like you know uh, an end user product where you are required to basically catalog your requirements for Zomato or Swiggy or something like that, right? It's not necessary to basically have a core technical background, and for that matter, basically be the company, even if it is a tech oriented company. Even in my company, I have people who have come from the non technical background, because see, to be very honest here, a product manager is not involved in coding or is not involved basically in reviewing the codes. I have basically not come up with, and Chetali and Nayati, you guys can also chime in, basically where you are required. So, Vicky, to answer your question, basically, definitely a salesperson can very well switch on to a product manager role, and that is totally agnostic of your background,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, totally, I echo your thoughts here, Vishal.
Right.
And fortunately, I have someone in my team who's transitioning from lawyer background to product management, and it has been an interesting journey. Though my 2 cents here would be of advice of selecting a company that you work with or selecting a product that you work
Absolutely.
with that's not extremely tech heavy, but product management as a role is not limited by technical expertise at all.
True, true. Right. So, right. So uh, I'm going over the next question here. How do we transition from non-engineering roles into the product management? It's almost the same question that we answered. Uh, how can I transition from a developer role to a PM without any prior experience in product area? So, I mean, you have three people who are talking about that, including myself, Chaitali and Niyati. I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, Chaitali and Niyati, you guys also did not have much experience before you started into the product role, right? You guys come from a development background as well. So, right, just to answer this
Yeah,
question, yes, yes, go ahead, Chaitali.
I would like to take this particular question. I
Sure.
think uh, when we do this particular course in, in IPL, which is ICPM, one of the things which I got to learn that how many different product roles are there available in the market, right? So if I come from a sales background, I have some product roles which typically says in the JD that you have to do lot many customer interactions. So
Right.
if you're coming from a sales, your plus point is you're very smooth with customer handling, right? So you can find some sort of roles which demand for customer interaction. If you are coming from development background, then there are technical product manager. That is the typical title which you get to see. I would not say that once.
Chaitali, I think we lost you. Ankit, if you can just help her with.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, it's better now. Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. So, what I was saying is that if you come from a developer role, then there are typical roles available, technical product managers or technical product owner or product owner in that case, so that you are aware about daily practices. No, as a developer, you resolve some Jira tickets, you create some Jira tickets, you work on bugs, and that's one of the things which a product owner also does. So it's not that right at the moment when you start you will land up in a perfect product role, right, which is product manager, or maybe you're directly taking high-fi decisions working on big picture. That will not happen. So if you want to enter, you have to first get the list of those titles which are available in the market. Maybe what exercise I have done is go to Naukri, find those JD, and as per ICPM program says that these are the technical roles, these are the management role, product management, product owner. In between that, there are some roles. So find those roles and map your skills with that, and then you decide that where can I be the best fit. And all this will be entry level if you are starting for the first time. But once you landed in a right role which suits to your skill, I think growing from then and there will become much easier. So
Right, right. I totally
yeah,
agree.
that
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on, Chaitali. Yeah. Right.
I think one more thing that people uh, means most of the people do think that they are not comfortable getting into a associate product manager role or a business analyst role when they have 8 years of experience. So my side story is I was not getting the title. I wanted to have that title. I knew that I am working on a product role. I went to a startup and told them that this is what I can do for you, and they were ready, and that's how I entered into that role. So it will be a hustle, not into product management or this particular area, but in that case if you want to enter into any creative space, you want to do modeling, you do that, right? You want to become a public speaker, you do that. So don't hesitate to go down, step down, step take a one step down and learn new things, right? Because you need that. But absolutely, you will learn it much faster than the other people do, because you have that passion, you have those skills from the courses, right? So go to a role where they will welcome you, they will provide you that support, you grow there, and then you go to different senior level roles which you have available in the market.
Right, right. Well said, Chetali. Yeah. So I can vouch with that as well, right? I had similar apprehensions when I was also trying to move into product management role, that I don't have much of the management experience. Management itself comes as a word there, right? So that also puts the person in the ambiguity, that what if I don't have a management experience? How will I basically cater to such a role where my current role is not at all in line with the management or the product management, right? So the thing here is, all you have to do is, first of all, you have to try to understand where are you going. First of all, understand what you are interested in. If you are interested in that, first of all, try to make a map of your skill, your interest, and at the same time, what exactly would it fit in with the journey that you are looking for. If you are finding a map of one is to one or n is to n there, right? That would make sense for you to move ahead. And for that reason, management as a word should not haunt you, because here, precisely when we are talking about product management, you have to work on the product. You have to be very much passionate on trying to build the product which addresses, as I told, a problem in the market. So that's the overall passion that you need to have. Okay. So with that, let me ask you another question here. Niyati, I'll start with you. So when you were in this transition phase, what existing skills basically helped you there? How did you basically, if I can frame it, how did you capitalize on your existing skills that you had that time for your next move?
Right. So I was working as a BA, and before that, prior to that, I had a little bit of experience in entrepreneurship. I had my own startup. So anyone who has worked in startup or ever had, ever, kind of founded a startup or had experience in running something on their own, they would know that you have to wear multiple hats. You are constantly dealing with all different kinds of people. Um Product management in a way is like that, like you are central to everything, as the standard definition goes, right? That it's a mini CEO. So you are basically playing a role of a CEO without having the title. That experience kind of came in handy, especially working with chaos, dealing with ambiguity, dealing with less information on what needs to be built, because you can't always rely on clarity. You have to sometimes go and ask for it. Product managers are also required to be very proactive in their approach. You can't be spoon fed everything. So that also, my previous experience of entrepreneurship kind of came in handy. And when I was working as a business analyst, on a very regular basis, I used to speak with customers, and that kind of happened intuitively. I didn't know that there is something called customer interview as a process, and user empathy mapping as a framework. I wasn't aware of these things, but kind of intuitively doing that, which helped me how to be more organized. So I had kind of dry run before actually getting into product, about how to not conduct customer interviews, how that can not be valuable to your product journey. Uh, and that experience, when it got refined, kind of, I actually built onto that as a product manager, and that really helped me, because customer interview is a skill that is not very easy to acquire right away. Your first customer interview is not going to go bang on, right? Normally that is what happens, unless you get like a formal education or formal training. So uh, when when I already had experience with that, I kind of started to build on top of it and started to show result the moment I migrated into product role. So this has been my journey of everything that I did previously, and how they kind of, I could build on top of it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Niyati. Yeah. And yes, as you said, right, I get that when you say that as a product manager or in a product role, you have to be at the center. You are central for everything there, because when you say about that, consider that you are at the center position in a circle and you have the visibility, and at the same time you can reach out to anyone basically for your needs. And that is what you require as a product manager for shaping a product. Basically, you have to every day, every time when you decide to basically take this forward, it's not just your decision. It's not just you being shown as a green flag, you basically showing a green flag to the management. Hey, this is what I've thought and let's start implementing. No, it doesn't go that way. You have to basically discuss that with the stakeholders. You have to make sure that the team is also agreed upon. You have to, as part of your daily routine, make sure that everyone are on the same page, are on the same platform before you move in, right? And you have to take this very actively. You have to take this proactively, right? This is something at times people do feel a little irritated, because this is something that is not matching the thoughts what they have. You discuss it with your team, they have different thoughts on it, right? So as a product manager, you have to always think holistically there. You don't have to take a particular thought that you have, you don't have to take a particular thought that your team has. You have to basically think about the product holistically, and how this product is going to cater, and how once this feature, for suppose for an example, a small feature that is being incorporated, if this feature is being incorporated, how is it gonna shape the product which is going to the market in some time. So this is how you have to say it. So with that, let me actually give you a small anecdote, right? Once one of my leads told me, when I basically jumped into this role as a new PM, they told me. So I told them, how am I supposed to handle the product now? I was always in the product. I was building the product as a coder. I used to code for that. How different would it be now? So he told me a very interesting words. If you are, I was a father back then, and he told me something very interesting. When your kid was born, how did you decide to raise your kid, right? Were you taught, were you basically told that these are the things that you have to take? Basically, it was out of your interest, and you had prepared a plan to nurture your kid in a way, and you had a plan to shape the product. As a product manager, you have to consider yourself in the shoes of a parent, with the product being your kid, whom you are going to nurture over a time, right? So with that, Chetali, I would like to hear your thoughts on this.
Uh, I think no one means, even if we are in this role from long, right? I would say every product is different. Every baby is different, and in the process, you have to understand quite a few things, that how to handle this scenario, how to handle that scenario, and you cannot be trained every time. You will go wrong. You will learn through the process, and you know one day when the same scenario will come in front of you, you will never go wrong after that, because you have done it before. You have the answer. You know how to tackle the things. So it's not about standard framework, right? So normally when we do customer interviews, so earlier I just knew that you should involve a customer while defining it, right? But over the period, I joined different organizations, and every organization have different process of involving customer. So up till now, I have learned that I am right now involving customers in everything before finalizing a product area where to work upon. But the approach would be different. The customers which set of customers which I will pull in, those will be different. The questions which I will ask, those will be different. The moment I have clarity that what product area we are going to go ahead with in line with our company OKRs, right? Then another set of customers I will pull in who are agree to go ahead with that particular product area change, right? Then once I have some sort of problem statements handy, I will go and validate the problem statements with them. Recently I have learned that some companies follows discovery season differently, and implementation or a release season differently. Every company has different practices and different frameworks. So I think you have to spend good amount of time to learn these things. And again, I would always say that tomorrow, if I think that I want to, means I'm already working in AI, but tomorrow, if I feel that, I am lagging somewhere, I will go back and step down a role. Uh, I will learn in that junior role, because that will give me a pace to try different things. And once I feel confident, I will, bounce two steps ahead. So I think that's the key. That's the key that is working out for me. So we have to see that as a person, who am I, where I should put myself. No high ambitions, and no over expectations from this little product, because we also have to deal with different scenarios in life. So don't be over ambitious, and you have to be very, very true with yourself and true with uh, the market situation, right? And just get into the role and learn and grow. That's what I would say.
Great, great. Thanks for that. That was a good point, right? So self-review, if I have to summarize it, right?
Yeah,
Keep reviewing yourself, right? Self-review, and at the same time be agile and very flexible in basically handling the things. That's very important. That's a key again. So now let me ask you a very important question, Niyati. So while you were planning to move into the product role, why did you look for a formal training program, for that? And what were your expectations from an external program? And how did you finally, stumble upon IPL? How basically that thing happened? If you can
right,
explain that journey. Yeah.
right. So, my personal style of working is get the education first for anything new. So, even when I'm working on building products in AI, let's say, uh, I would rather go and do some kind of certification and understand the entire range of it, then depend on very, uh, you know, very little bit of information that you get when you are being very reactive to it. Like, just do what's thrown to you, and not expand and explore your horizons. So that is generally my style of working, that learn things first. I also met with someone who is a career coach, and my coach also recommended going through a formal training. When we look at product management, it's a very dynamic role. It changes from company to company. Within the same company, it changes from product to product. Within the same product, it changes from teams to team, right? So it's a supremely dynamic role, and it's not very wise to depend on where you are right now to teach you every aspect of product management. It is not wise, and you can't limit yourself with a restricted understanding that you have today, and kind of keep fulfilling your career ambition and where you want to go based on that limited understanding. So for example, in product management, like I did ICPM with IPL, we have the entire module on user experience design, where you are taught user empathy and empathy mapping. So many product managers would not have gone through that extensive understanding of how to do this, what is the step by step scientific way of building this so that your product is more adaptable and helpful to your users. uh, Product marketing, I still don't do product marketing, but I understand what it is. I understand the nuances of it. I've understood the concept of it. If I were to be thrown into a product marketing role tomorrow, it's not going to be completely uncharted territory for me. It's not an unfamiliar a thing for me. So the modules that IPL has, that kind of help me make the decision, that it kind of covers the entire range of product management, so that every aspect is touched upon. And of course, the alumni network that uh, the IPL offers, that is a big plus. That was a big plus point for me. And on top of that, we do these live cases where you take the idea, you build products out of it, and you present it to an external jury. That is that is very self-validating, that because it's an external jury, it's not your professor, it's not your teacher from IPL who's giving you the rating on how you performed. Somebody else comes and they kind of give you feedback on what you build. You get to take an idea, actually build on top of it, and arrive at a situation where you can actually take this product and go to an investor and ask for money, right? So the entire thing you get to do within the scope of your certification and within the time frame of your certification, and it's being validated and judged by external jury so that you understand where you are lagging and where you need to kind of enhance, and which are the good aspects that you covered. Like, it's that is also very self assuring that oh, certain aspects I know very well, so that kind of boosts your confidence as well. So I think the case is hands on training that we do.
Yes.
uh, that was a very very major plus, because that is something you don't get to do in the industry. And I think these were the
Absolutely.
reasons why IPL stood out and kind of was the go to place for me, and there was no doubt about it after that.
Absolutely, Niyati. I'll also second on that, and just sharing my 2 cents here, a formal set of mentoring, a formal set of instruction-led program is very necessary. Consider a very, a very vague case. Suppose you are basically planning to have a career in boxing and you have your match, you will be having your match next year. Now, rather than practicing in the ring, you have been given a formal of instructions on how you have to train yourself, and then you will be having your match and your opponent is there, and these are the things and these are the technical details you should understand. So you get on to all those details, you understand those details, but you are actually not trained by anyone. You do not get into the ring, and you are not basically led by anyone, any mentor who sort of coaches you and explains you, and then basically gives you a sort of mock ring experiments that, hey, opponent, now I'll be your opponent, try to basically do something, try to apply the same principles that I have shared with you. So at every stage of our life, whenever we basically make some decision, it's always required to have some sort of mentor to guide us, and at the same time help us implement the thoughts that we have and the thoughts that he's or she's sharing with us, right? And just sharing my journey there with IPL, right? The some of the major you know uh, things that I found here while I was doing my journey here. First of all, the overall the overall session, the overall way, the chapters, the overall content, it was so well curated that I did not have to basically think about how shall we start and where exactly are we going on to. For example, something as simple as GTM, right? A go to market strategy. Coming from a different background like an engineering, you must have not dealt with a GTM strategy before, or a value. How do you define a value proposition for your product? You would not have dealt with that, right? And how, or basically, how do you make an MVP to basically go let your 1.0 version be out in the market? So these are some of very, very tiny things that you have to, and very tiny steps that you are supposed to take, and you need some sort of mentorship there, and IPL basically helped us a lot there. And not to forget the most important thing that basically was keeping me engaged, and at the same time very much helping as an overall boost up program, was the overall cohorts that I had. Because you are bound to get into a sort of lethargic position where you feel that there is so much that is given to you and that is totally new. You'll end up in a space where you are basically new, and there are a lot of assignments and projects that are given to you, and you find yourself a solo entry there. So at IPL, everything happens with cohorts, right? I remember my weekends when I used to work there, when I used to basically was going through this ICPM certification. That time we all used to huddle up. We all used to basically huddle up the cohorts, and we used to discuss the the requirement that was given up, and how are we going to address this. And before that, where exactly we come from, and how the things are progressing at their end, what are their goals. So sharing all these ideas when you are progressing ahead helps you a lot and motivates you at the same time, right? So that's very important. Yeah, Chitali, what are your takes on it?
I guess completely agree to both of you, mainly when it comes to the predefined content and modules which IPL means the ICPM course has, and the way we do that, product implementation thing. So we have the capstones at end of the every at end of every module, and in the end you link up those mini work you have done as a capstone at end of every module with each other and create a big capstone out of it, right? That is one of the thing which I like, that you basically go through that actual organizational experience. And as you guys rightly said, that I was more closer to PMM side of work, let's say, earlier, because I have had that exposure to talk to customers, be into customer facing roles, and little bit of interaction with engineering managers was also easy for me. But what was difficult at my level is to uh, talk with, even I worked with design people earlier, but there is a thing in product management that you have to deal with different personas even when you are doing your work. So designers have their own mindset, they work calmly and they are very very detail oriented, whereas salespeople, they are sort of they work at a very superficial information, because that's what important, right? You need to work on the numbers, you have your target, so you cannot drill down every time. At the same time, your engineering manager will be more worried that how you are scoping down the requirements and what is coming as a ask from a PM. And at the same time, all your CXOs are looking towards you, that where the roadmap is going and how you're working on the roadmap, or is it in line with OKR. So you are dealing within the role inside the organization. You are dealing with different people, and every person has a different style of working, and they have their core nature, right? So I think the most beautiful thing which I learned from ICPM is how to give a space, because if you are coming from a technology background and a coder, you cannot go and sit next to your engineering manager and telling him, this is how you should do it better. That's not what a product manager do, right? So unlearning few things and giving space to others is the main important thing I have learned in ICPA, because more or less I was aware about how UX works, or design team works, how engineering team works. So I knew bits and pieces of this, but still I was lagging somewhere. And where I was lagging was I was not having that style of giving space to others. I was this weird habit of, if I would have been a developer, I would have done in this way. Or, that happens naturally. You expect certain things in a certain style. And I think that is the most important thing which I have learned while doing the course. Uh, and there are many other things, right? I was going through different interviews, and then uh, I have a peer, right? Wherever I'm stuck, I can go back and I can take discuss book one-on-one sessions with different coaches in IPL, and I can discuss with them, I can take their guidance, and that helps us a lot to end up or
True,
choosing the best option for you, may it be
true,
company
true.
wise or product wise. Yeah.
True, true. Thanks for that, Chaitali, and I truly agree with that, right? And one of the remarkable features that we have in this program that we have at IPL is that you can always book a one-on-one session with some of the industry experts, and you can always put your thoughts, and you can always put the apprehensions that you have and how you are looking and where exactly you are stuck, and you will be guided. So that was definitely very, very, very helpful when I was also going through that, right? And just to share some experience, right? And as a developer or as a person who has totally dealt with the technical, on the technical front, he may not be aware of how a UX is done, right? Or how a UX is made. And here, as part of this course, you are also required to create some wires. There's a special module on that. And for the people, and I see a lot of questions again on the technical, if I am not from a technical background, you also have a module that deals specifically with the cloud and microservice and the APIs and everything, that gives you some minimum understanding. If you come from a non-technical background, you will at least get some idea of what minimum technical details you require to basically step into a product role, in getting insights into a product management role, right? So that's also one of the key features of IPL. And at the same time, one important feature that IPL program also has is the placement opportunity it gives you. While you are doing your course, while you are learning something that is required for your next move, at parallel, it also ensures that you have some sort of placement guidance given to you. And there are companies, I did it a couple of years back, and Niyati and Chetali, you can also chime in and help me there. I had companies like Oracle, even my company, Informatica, and even Microsoft, and some startups and good companies visiting the campus and basically conducting interviews. Those days were, when I was doing this, those were the COVID days, and we used to have everything online. I'm not sure about this, but the how it is done now. But that time, basically, we used to have everything online, and we used to get on to the interviewers. And the interviewers used to basically interview us not on the skill set that we had when we basically enrolled for this program, but what we learned in this program, because they come with a mindset that the person whom they are interviewing is not coming from a PM background, of a product management background. And that is something, is one of the beauties that this program management course offers you, right? So, and that's also one of the question here. And another question I see, I am mechanical design engineer, 16 year. I don't look, I have worked in US, and technical growth is very low. I want to change the field for accelerate. Please suggest what I should do. So I think we answered that already, right? So it is agnostic from wherever you are coming. All you need to have is the passion for whatever you are trying to build, whatever you are basically working on in the product area. And you have to review, you have to analyze, you have to always see whatever is required with your product, not only within your organization, but outbound. You have to always see how this product is going to fit in the market tomorrow, right? And this brings me to the last question for today. So now, now that we have successfully transitioned to a product role, can you talk, Neti, can you talk a little bit about the current responsibilities that you have, and basically how are you dealing with it?
Right. Uh, so in my organization, we have multiple products. So it's a given thing that you move from one product to another product if the business needs it. And at the same time, take care and coach and mentor junior product managers, product owners who are joining the team, who are freshly graduate or maybe come from a very different background. So two of the core aspect is, one is of course product management, which is building and delivering a product, and the another major aspect is making sure that your product managers are well equipped, they follow standardized procedures, and they feel comfortable doing the role of a product manager. um, on a day-to-day basis, if I were to give you, like, day in a life of kind of a thing, it's about talking to stakeholders, talking to clients, talking to partners, capturing requirements, prioritizing your roadmap, building the feature, designing MVPs, very standard product management 101 that I have to do on a daily basis. At the same time, if the company is getting into going in a direction, and if any particular direction that you hear the chatter about, make sure that you're well equipped. So even though it's not a my role is not of a technical product manager, I make sure that whatever technology that we are working on or we are kind of thinking about implementing, I go and study. So on an average, I think at least an hour a day I need to spend on studying what the company, what the business, and what is going on in the market, in the trend, to kind of understand where to drive my product and how to leverage existing upcoming technologies to kind of enhance my existing product portfolios. So this is kind of in a day in a life of where I kind of coach people, junior product, aspiring product managers, and deliver product which is a standard we have been doing for a while. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Niyati. Yes, and yes, as you rightly said, right? So it starts with getting the first of all understanding the requirements, getting on a call or whatever the mode of communication there is, trying to understand what that requirement is, trying to first of all see not just a requirement comes later. First of all, what exactly is the problem statement there, trying to understand that problem statement, and will that formulate into a requirement, and how exactly this has been dealt, had it been dealt before in the product in some way, if not, if it is coming in a new requirement, and how you are going to prioritize this in the overall product catalog on the roadmap that you have created for that particular quarter, for that particular year or whatever, right? So this is a common day-to-day activities of any product manager. Chetali, share your insights as well.
Yeah, so I agree. Similarly, I'm I think from past 5 6 years, now 7 years, I guess, roles are changing, products are changing, everything is changing. The only thing which is constant is, the practices, product practices which we follow uh, to make that product a great success, right? Uh, I think that is the common thing. And though it is a common thing, we are improving on how we implementing it at every stage of our life, right? And I normally see myself, I normally go to office. I have my to-dos on my, desktop just to keep me, in the time frame. Because right now, I'm means till now I was working with many product companies, and recently I have taken this call to get into a service-based company, which is again a risk which I have taken, I would say, but I think that's a good toss because right now I'm getting to work with many different projects. So earlier my problem statement was I cannot enter into BFSI just because I was not working with BFSI earlier. But now in this scenario, within the company, I can transit from one project to other project, and that penetration it has become little bit easier. So I can transit different domains, and that's the beauty of service company. So right now, that is one of the risks which I have taken, and through that, I am seeing that though your domains are changing, I see myself managing my to dos. I have my Jira board, I would say, or Kanban board. This is what my uh, daily tasks are. This is the deadline. This is what I have to go. That is my own thing. Then I do customer interviews. At least I have one customer interview per day, I would say. Um, if it demands more, then I see myself doing 7 to 8 customers interview per week, and making the moderator guides or survey questions or some activity interactive sessions where customers will really feel connected to your product. That's what I do. Then I have scrum calls to attend, some of them like for reviewing the sprint at the end, right? That we committed to something, and is it matching to that. So it's not about your getting into all the scrum calls. Once in a week you have to do that. Then maybe I see myself talking to sales people or customer success managers or account managers, or in that case people who are supporting customers, technical support. So those are my resources where I get my requirements. I think I'm using some good tools like product boards or Salesforce Vivan to take some product feedbacks. So it's all cross functional. So I see myself interacting with many internal and external stakeholders on a day to day basis. And yes, of course, coaching and mentoring within the organization is another thing which we do. So yeah.
Great, great. Thank you for that, Chetali. And with that, I think we have come towards the end of this session. Let me take some questions that we have here in the Q&A panel, right? So, okay. Okay. So this is something that we have answered already. Okay. So why would the recruiter approach me if I do not have a prior experience? So that is the reason we go for a certification program, and from for a from a renowned place like IPL, basically, who is, if I'm not wrong, one of the first industries basically to start coaching for product management. You, as now, if you are talking from the recruiter's perspective, right, they go through your resume, and in a resume, if you are putting, if you have mentioned something like an ICPM certification and IPL certification that you have gone through, and at the same time it is integrated with some of the best universities out there, like universities of Houston, if you mention that, you definitely would be getting some or the other calls. That is number one. On top of that, you have to also build your resumes. Now, your resume would not be the same that you had put in. Suppose you were in your previous role, like a engineering role, a developer role, or something. Now you have to tweak your resume a little bit. You have to mention some of the critical product features, as I was telling you, right? You have to use some funneling words. You have to use something like the GTM strategies, have the visions, have defined the MVPs, giving these versioning of it, prioritizing the requirements, dealing with external stakeholders. These are some of the relevant terms. And I mean, now as part of this program, you are also guided on this. You are also being mentored on this. So this should not be a concern once you are in this program, right? That should be easy for you, right? Let me see. Okay, this, while giving interviews as part of Talenton, what kind of use cases we'll get? So the use cases will be in particular to the requirements that they have. So I also, while I was uh, doing this certification program, I also was interviewed for two of the, I also interviewed, got interviewed for two of the companies, and fortunately I got an offer from one of them. It was Subex. That time, though, I took a call to stay in my organization and switched to a product manager role. But yes, I mean, the requirement was very precise to what they cater to. The use cases that you expect there would be something that they are working on, the product that they are working on. But you can very well relate it once you are basically going through the capstone projects, the assignments that you are giving, that you are working on. You can, agnostic of whatever the product or the use cases are, basically how to address them. Because the overall requirement would be to find how this product needs to be developed, or how this product needs to be shaped to go into GTM, in a go-to market. What exactly are the minimum features that you have to build, right? That are the questions that you have to, they'll be giving you a presentation. They'll be telling you to come up with a presentation where you have to write the features. You have to basically mention the features that are required to answer MVP 1.0 version of that. So Niyati and Chetali, you can also share some insights that you had while you were going through some interviews there, while you were in the course. But this is what I think about, right? What I recollect when I was there, right? Is product management certification mandatory, or only with IPL course one can land on? I mean, you are getting a certification here, as I told you, right? You do not, it does not mandate you for any certification, any other external certification. Your knowledge itself should suffice. And at the same time, you're also getting a certification, right? So you should
Yeah,
not worry.
I think
Okay.
one thing which I want to sort of add here is if you go, means I worked outside India for some time on a, and I got the work visa, and it was a weird case, but just one learning from that, that if you go as a product manager, that is a special skill set, okay? So you go on a special skill visa or special, skill set visa. So it itself tell you that it's a special skill, and to attain any special skill, you need some training, right? It's not part of your uh, you know education. So it may be any certificate, and because I have done the CSPO and PSPO, uh, in 2 days you get that course and you are preparing for the exam, but it's you, only you, there are no peers. So I think having certification is a good to have, but in those 2 days you cannot learn the entire product management for sure. And even if there are some courses which are means I remember the time when I was working on this UX module, which Niyati also mentioned. I was not able to complete my capstone because it's very vast and you have to put certain amount of time. And I was under a fear that whether I will be able to complete the course or not. But today, if I look back, I think that's the most beautiful thing happened to me. You need certain amount of time to get to know product management, I guess, and having any certification is good.
Right, right. And yes, I think we are on time, and we have reached the end of this session. And hope, guys, this was insightful to you all. This was helpful to you all. And, you guys have basically are on the right path, is what I can say. Keep that fire enlightened, keep that thing burning within you, move on to that direction, and don't get disheartened with whatever the hiccups you guys face initially. All you need to do is basically, and with a a mentorship of a premier institute like IPL, you would be guided, and you have to be just totally totally carefree about how this will be shaping, because you will be guided with with some of the best industry experts there. All you have to do is just put your best foot forward, work, and just don't worry about anything that's going on. Right, that's good. So, right, and I'll hand it over to Harleen now.
Thank you, Vishal. Thank you all for your insights. I'm sure the participants have benefited and gotten a clearer idea. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, we will have to end the Q&A here. But we do see a lot of questions that are still coming in. We're more than willing to answer all of your queries. All you need to do is scan the QR code on the screen to book an exclusive 30-minute session with our counselors to clear all your doubts on transitioning to a product manager role. You can scan the code right now and book a slot for yourself, and you can have a 30-minute call with our career counselors. I'll wait here for a few seconds so you guys can scan the code. You can find the link for the same also in the chat window. Okay, that's okay. I think that should be enough time. I hope you've managed to scan the QR code. To our panelists and moderator, Vishal, Niyati, and Chaitali, thank you so much for being here this evening. We've enjoyed having you with us, and we look forward to hosting more such sessions with you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you,
Thank
Harleen.
everyone.
you.
Thanks, Vishal. Thanks, Chaitali. And thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Niyati.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chetali. Thank you, everyone.
And the audience, thank you for joining in. It was great interacting with you all. Do not forget to register for upcoming events like today's. With that note, I will end today's session. Happy learning and stay skilled. Have a great rest of the evening. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.